consent agenda, Councilman Neville, we had a small meeting here on Saturday, and he's going to give us a little bit of an update on that meeting and a recommendation that he has. So, Jimmy, feel free.
Well, yeah, small meeting to say the least. I think this was the largest crowd that's ever been in this building. You know, we probably would have had needed lubricant getting further in. But most of the people here, they were passionate about the project and not having it move forward. I want to thank the mayor and the deputy mayor for their presence. We let the residents speak. They're thankful to be heard. And at this point, I'm going to ask Julie to draft a resolution abandoning the idea completely and not asking the county for the money for the project and put the sidewalk project to rest. This highlights, the importance of a public information officer. I wasn't in this council seat when they brought this project up, when it was decided, when it was funded, and we didn't have a public information officer then. A lot of these information probably would have been out there, and people wouldn't have been as upset, heard a lot of different things that it might have been, and even just what it was, they just didn't want it. So, their voices were heard.
Council, yours?
I agree with your sentiments, Councilman Neville. I think that it does highlight the importance of communication. This was something that started in 2010. It was not something I had heard about back then, and I stay pretty attuned to things. So this was something that a lot of folks just learned about at the 11th hour, and I think it was very, very clear what the people's position was. We asked everybody there to raise their hand and indicate where they stood on it, and the vast majority of the people that came into the room. We asked, Councilman Neville, you asked for the folks to come. You asked for everybody that had a feeling on it to show and come. And we did that, and as a result, we got a real clear indication that the people that were there were not in favor of it.
So what you're basically asking for, since Jimmy, you're the one that put the stick in the spoke and stopped this. The last time we discussed it up here on council, we were going to move it forward to the open space meeting and have, we approved a request to submit it before the open space meeting. So what we're basically saying is that we're not, you want a consensus here.
To withdraw that, yes.
To withdraw that.
We certainly don't have to go to the county and have...
You can't hold a meeting asking people for their opinion on something, have an incredible number of people show up, not one speaks in favor of the project, and then turn around and say, well, we're going to do it anyway. You'd have to be crazy to do that. But I just want to make sure council has. Tom, are you okay with putting this thing on hold for now?
I have no problem. It's been announced in the paper already that the project's dead and the fish pier's dead, so I read it, so might as well just finish it off then.
Well, this one certainly is, as far as the pier situation. That's it's not going anywhere right now.
Oh, I know. How do you say
that's still down the line. If the funding was there, it's a question of funding on that. That's just not there. So that's dormant. This one's dead. This one's having dirt thrown on it. Eric, you okay with this as far as pulling this thing back?
Well, for now, yeah. I mean, I think along with the road needs. There's a lot of things that need to be done there.
Yes.
But obviously, this isn't going to get done at this particular time. So.
No. And I think that we need to address, and I think Jimmy's already made it clear that he will, which is to go down and to look at the safety issues and dialogue with the residents down there and see what our options are.
And I say, Mayor, that I would like to acknowledge and thank all of the hard work of the Rec Advisory Committee. I mean, I think it's important for folks to understand that they were following the rules. They were following this thing according to protocol. They were acting on what they believed was in the best and the greatest good and the welfare of our township.
Yep.
I certainly understood where they were coming from. I've ridden my bike many times along that beach drive during busy periods and had to swerve around people and negotiate cars. For 20 years I've been seeing that. So I can understand why they saw this as an opportunity. And they did a lot of work. A lot of work to get those approvals, and I just wanted to acknowledge that and recognize that they were doing it for the best intentions.
And Mike, for the record, we asked Lieutenant Green to enforce the speed limit and the people pulling off to unload to go down to the beach so that they don't create all the problems. So if you would see to it that Captain or Chief Mastriani gets that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll prepare whatever we need to do to put a halt to this project.
I think the effective resolution authorizes yourself, Mayor, and the clerk to make the application to the county for the grant money. I think a simple resolution revoking that authorization would suffice.
I got you. Okay. Well, no. Because we also have a request in for another grant relationship to that program. Correct, though? Isn't that?
We've been turned down from the NJDOT.
Well, we're approved for the bike trail that we're working on.
Okay. We did get turned down for the, okay. So the simple answer is we don't reapply because it was going to be every year for 5 years, correct?
Right. And the
it's
grant-
not automatically reviewed, right?
I don't believe so, but I will double
If
check.
it is, then we'd have to include that. Okay. We can't apply for a grant. I know that originally it was a 5 year span, a certain amount of money each year, right? That we were
With
applying.
the DOT.
Yeah.
I will double check.
I would.
Whatever. I just wanted to, when something Nora said, I mean, our rec advisory board, they did work very hard on it, and it just, I feel like they got thrown under the bus here. They weren't treated very well for the hard work they did, and I realized that, there's people that have different opinions about projects, but I know that the time and the effort they put in, I can guarantee there's no one in the township that travels that path more than I do in a week, every week. And it really needs, something needs to be done down there. I know that they had good intentions. They worked very hard. I know the plans were very well thought out, and it's just they seem to be made out to be the bad guys, and I think they were just trying to do a job that they were asked to do. So I just wanted that, to say that. That's all.
No, I agree with what you're saying. They're not the bad guys in this. I think that there's probably a number of things that just turned the wrong way, each one of them, and put us into this position. Not the least of which is the fact that, some of the members of council came on, especially with Jimmy, without knowing or even being at the inception of this program. So he kind of inherited it. And, then you have a situation where when it does, we did, I think what was done by the book, what we had to do as far as getting the information out there. But I think that there was perhaps if the lesson needs to be learned is that doing what you have to do doesn't necessarily rule the day, but what you've got to do is make sure that the information is out there even more than what we're required to do. And I think that that's probably the key situation. If there had been a public hearing in 2011 when this project first was put forward, we would have had a real read of the of what people felt about it back then. Okay, so we'll craft that and get that ready for the next meeting. We move down to the consent agenda now. Is there any council comments or questions on the consent agenda?
Yes, I'd like to move Resolution 2014-161 to the regular agenda and Ordinance 2014-06 and 07 to the regular agenda.
Okay. Is there any other council comments or questions in relationship to this? Okay. Then I'll open up for public comment on those items still on the consent agenda. And we'll close the public portion. You getting up, Frank? Yeah. Okay, come on.
Frank Sirocco to the Villas. I'd like a clarification on Resolution 2014-67.
167.
167. Who owns that property?
You want to go over that?
Yeah, that property is currently owned by Penn Turbo. They negotiated an agreement of sale with the DRBA, which operates the Cape May County Airport. The DRBA will purchase that real estate. They will then turn it over to Cape May County, will be incorporated into the airport complex.
Does that mean that the DRBA is going to just turn it over? They're just
That's exactly what they're
acquiring
going
it,
to do.
and they're going to give it to the county.
They're going to give it to the county, that's correct.
So they paid money for it.
The closing didn't occur yet. It's going to happen very shortly, but yes, they're purchasing it from a private entity, Penn Turbo, and it will be turned over to Cape May County.
Okay, and we were receiving tax money from this?
We were, but the DRBA, both the DRBA, according to their interstate compact, and Cape May County, according to state law, is tax exempt.
I
For
understand
property
that.
used for public purposes.
Okay, so we're going to be losing money on this. Tax money.
Correct.
Yeah, it's like when something goes into open space or the same thing, you lose that. You can't
Okay.
tax another
Now,
government entity.
would you be interested in purchasing my property so I don't have to pay
Is it located adjoining the airport?
Is it actually, and we're gonna throw you
I
out,
can hold my hand up and look at the airport, so that doesn't matter.
you're out.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Okay, is there any other questions or comments? Close the public portion.
Approval of minutes, May 19th, 2014. Resolution number 2014-159 and 160. Resolution 2014-162 through Resolution 2014-167.
Do I have a motion to approve in a second?
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yep.
Resolution number 2014-161. Appoint a public information officer for the year 2014 without public bidding. This is Lauren Suit, and the term would be January 1 through December 31, 2014, at an amount not to exceed $10,500.
It's June 1st through December 31st.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And Mike, could you lead us up to that selection process?
Well, as you know, Mr. Fichtner was put to work at the Star Wave, then we lost a good man. He did a great job putting press releases out because we have so many good things to talk about in this community. We put 4 or 5 releases a week. We lost him. We advertised. We received several resumes, and I zeroed it down to a local resident who lives kind of across the way here, Lauren Suit, who was, well, excuse the pun, but suited for the job. You have a resume. I provided all council members with a resume. She's done 3 outstanding releases from Saturday's activities, which I shared with council today. I sent these all email, and I'm very pleased to have her, and I ask for your support.
Okay. Council comments?
Lauren, this is nothing personal. I just didn't want the position filled. I think you're going to do a wonderful job. I know I'm going to lose on this vote, but it's the position. We're starting to spend too much money, and we have to look at where we're doing it. So, unfortunately, I can't support that, but I know I'm going to get over it. It doesn't matter.
After Saturday, I'll make a motion.
Barrett?
No, I mean, we're voting on, it's a job that I feel is the manager's job. I've told you that before. So she started already, but we're voting on it now. Is that?
Well, she's not getting paid now.
Right, it's a basket
We
for vote to ratify the
If we vote
appointment.
it down tonight, she doesn't get a nickel.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Lauren will do a great job, and I just want to, I hope that she maintains an unbiased and accurate representation for Lower Township. That's all. That's all I ask.
Well, I feel strongly this is a really smart idea, and I'll tell you why I think it's not the manager's job. What we're looking for is someone who, one of the first prerequisites is someone who has been a reporter, a journalist, who understands what a story is and what stories are likely to get into the newspaper. And as a result of that, we, instead of getting one little public notice in one paper about something that we're doing, we have a good shot of getting a lot of coverage on a lot of topics that are important to this township. And all due respect to the manager, he's never been a journalist. Lauren and the other people we interviewed has written countless numbers of stories that have gotten into newspapers, and they're made to be the kinds of things that people want to read. A lot of times people write stuff, but it's not ever going to find the newspaper because it's not written like a newspaper story. People go to journalism school for a reason. And that's why we need a public information officer, like many other towns do it. And their sole job is to get the word out there into it's called earned media. It's earned because someone has an approach that's likely to find its way into the newspapers. Newspapers just don't print advertising that we hand them. They charge money for that. But if you write a good story, they're likely to cover it and put it in. Number two, Lauren has a lot of graphic design and social media experience. So she's more than a journalist, and we're getting a good package for that so that we make our material attractive and interesting for people to want to read. People are busy, and more, they don't just look at, they need to have some graphic pleasure to the whole experience so that people are likely to read it. Thirdly, someone that will put the stuff up on Facebook and keep everything posted. And Mr. Simonson, the first thing I asked and looked for was someone that didn't have any bias at all, and Lauren certainly qualifies as that. Actually, the first thing I looked for, I was hoping for economic development, I was hoping to find someone in Lower Township that qualified. She fit the bill. The second was that she was someone who just wanted to do what's right for the township and really didn't know who was Republican or independent or what was what. So I really thought that was a good quality in someone that wasn't going to get into anything other than what was good for the township. And as Councilman Neville says, and I've been through 2 meetings where Exhibit A and Exhibit B, and this past Saturday was Exhibit C and D, in terms of why we need a communications person. Because, as you said, if we had done a good job, done more than just what was required, which was to put something in the start. I mean, everybody in the room just said that wasn't enough. I didn't see it. It didn't come into my radar screen. We have it's a two-way street. Our citizens have an obligation to look at the Facebook, to look at our website, to look at the meetings and the videos that we're trying our best to get good quality, as well as read the newspaper and come to meetings in order to stay tuned into what's happening in the township. And we, as a council, have an obligation to push the information out there because people are busy. And a lot of people work at 2 jobs, and we need to give them every opportunity we can to find out what's going on. And if we do that, we will have head off an awful lot of the pain and suffering that we went through as a result of folks not hearing about something that started back in 2011. And then at the 11th hour, 11:59, after we had gone through all the effort to get to something, the word gets out, and people expressed we could have saved all that. So I want to challenge Lauren to really make sure, see every opportunity, from not only from these meetings, but things that happen during the week, to get those stories out there and communicate them to folks as much as possible. And we've seen examples of her work. We spent over an hour reading examples of what she's done. She is well respected by the other reporters. That was the other thing we did. So I think I've pretty much covered that subject, but I do feel very strongly about the importance of, and these folks are clearly not doing it for the money as much as they want to serve the township, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I never knew how much we needed a public information officer until we lost the one we had. And for the past couple months, there's been more than a few times when I said, well, we're stuck here. I don't have the time. I know the manager doesn't have the time. To sit back and to spend a couple hours, a couple times a week doing press releases. And, somebody's got to be responsible for that. Why should I have to do them? He can't do them. I know that. The point is that it's money well spent. It's not a lot of money. And yet it is such an important service. Yeah, I am totally in favor of it. So we'll open up the public comment on this resolution. If anybody wishes to address council, step forward.
Hi, Linda Blanchett from Town Bank. I agree with all of the comments that you made regarding the need for more public information. I think that's dead on, and I thought Saturday's meeting certainly was an example of that. I do have a question about the rules around no-bid contracts and why this wasn't put out to bid.
Because it's a professional service contract, and it's like anything else. Somebody might bid $100, but then they can't write. I mean, that doesn't do us any good. I mean, you really want to get somebody in there. You want the best of both. You don't want to spend $100,000 getting an award-winning novelist to write. No, that's not what we're looking at. But at the same time, you have to have somebody that knows what they're doing. And this is what we paid to come.
You're talking about for the PIO position?
Yeah. We did interview how many people? 4?
Well, I received several resumes, but I interviewed just a few. And I really had it down to 2 people, and then Lauren just came out shining on top.
It's almost like the solicitor, not to use Ron as an example, but you could probably get somebody out of law school, and the first time he loses a lawsuit, we're in big trouble. You know, we'll be paying for the eyes.
This is a specific exception under the statute for professional service. It's excluded from the requirement for public bidding because it requires special expertise in an area, special training, special education, special licensing. It's not something that you just put out to bid.
All right, that's helpful to know. Thank you. And one more question. Will the public information officer also be available for comments from the public, not just giving information out to the public?
Well, if it's at a public meeting and somebody says something here, it's possible it may end up in one of them. But not, we're not going to call them up or something and insert things from, the general public. Most of the stuff a lot of it's event oriented. For instance, we've got 8 events coming up over at the ferry over the next couple of months. We have to get that information out there. The press does a great job, but this will be part of the responsibility of the PIO to make sure that they do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comments? Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
No.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
I just want to say that I think Lauren will do a great job. I've seen her work, and she probably knows what I'm talking about, but I'm going to abstain.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance number 2014-06. An ordinance dissolving the Lower Township Municipal Utilities Authority pursuant to NJSA 48:5A-20. This is the first reading. The second reading and the public hearing will be scheduled after approval from the local finance board, which should be the second meeting in July.
Okay, council comments.
In June or July?
July.
Okay. Thank you.
Am I correct, Solicitor? I believe it's the second meeting in July.
There's been so many numbers flying around, I just want to double check.
July 21, possibly, tentatively.
Yes, tentatively.
Okay. Council comments?
I'll start since I asked for it to go. I still have some unanswered questions. I want to thank Julian, the manager, and the solicitor, and Mr. Schultz for answering a lot of those questions, and Gary Douglas. I got a lot of the answers, as I said. But I still don't understand what happened to rush this. We're talking about notifying the public. Over 99% of the public did not find out we were trying to take over the public work NUA until the day after. That's not transparency. That's like trying to rush things through. Now this meeting, it's let's get the ordinances. I still have some questions concerning it. And now, moving public works is now part of that project. How much is that going to cost? Now I'm doing all the homework, I'm looking at all the paperwork, all the notes I got, everything. I'm kind of leaning one way, and I stepped back and did the incident command thing, took a deep breath, and looked at it. We are trying to spend a lot of money in the next few years. We were told by the accountant that we have $3.8 million next year to spend with bonding. That's the beginning of the police department. We already know there's going to be some other costs to it. But we also say we're going to fix Roseanne Avenue and the sewer tree. Where's that money coming from now? We're fixing Bay Drive. We already said we're doing this. Now we're going to take over the MUA. Granted, it's $1 million in paper money spent, savings. Problem is, real money's going out. Now we're going to fix part of the beach where the road's down. There's a lot of spending going on. And I can't see any tax, it's going to have a tax increase attached. I don't care where you say we got 29 million, the count says 3.8 next year. Where's all this money coming from? Moving public works is not going to be free. There's a lot of cost attached.
Manager?
Well, Councilman, as you saw, I provided you with a sheet the last time this came up, and our bonding capacity is in the millions. 27 million, I think we could bond if we wanted to next year, not just 3.8, without a doubt. Other communities, since the editorial come out endorsing the concept of disbanding the MUA in Atlantic City Press 2 Sundays ago, other communities say they're following suit of what the Republican governors is asking us to do, is to get rid of these shadow governments. Other communities are going to dissolve their MUAs because they're saving $50,000, $100,000, or maybe $200,000 a year. It was my thought, after all 5 of you asked me to investigate to disband the MUA, and you received all the reports, was to also consolidate all our blue-collar workers and move public works over. The cost of moving it is moving equipment. You're going to inherit all the equipment there at the MUA also, which is going to be another savings, because you won't be buying more backhoes and dump trucks and all that stuff.
And then you're selling the building.
And then eventually just clean up the property and sell that building. So if we're going to save $500,000, $750,000, or if it's $1 million plus, whatever the real number is, it's a no-brainer in I mean, the people in this town are applauding the council to move to disband the MUA.
I'm not saying not to disband. I'm saying what happened that changed. When I was the one fighting for something to happen to MUA, I walk away, go on vacation, come back, and now we're rushing to it.
No,
and when I
no
said this
rush.
question, if I had the information up front, but my problem is, it's not going to be free. It's not just moving equipment. You have to have buildings. We have to remedy possibly the site there. The county's going to work with us with the public safety building. Okay, that's fine. But from what I understand, it's fix the roof, demolish, or find someone else to take it. That's my understanding. That's going to cost money. All this stuff added up is not no tax increase. The accountant sat there and said 3.8. The next meeting, you come and say 29 million. I'm sorry, guess
No,
what?
I gave you the auditor's report. It's not what I said. It's grounded information. I gave it to you in black and white.
He was
Yes.
talking about next year.
Yes, next year we have 3.8 million.
Right,
That's
but
what
what he's saying is that...
So we're going to mortgage the future for everything, all this stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. Roseanne Avenue, that's a priority. Fixing Bay Drive, that's a priority. Down
That's why we
And
do
they're all
as frugal as we have been.
And they're all being addressed.
They're all there. This is about saving money.
Yeah.
We're talking, this
About
is...
saving taxpayers'
What?
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes, how much is it going to save?
And it's not going to cost the taxes it won't change the taxes at all.
Right. But we're saving the millions. Where's the millions pay per million?
Everything
else is cash that we're paying out.
Wait a second. There'll be savings for both ratepayers and taxpayers. Okay. There's no cost that's involved here except what was delineated in the original document that was prepared by Bob, what's his face? Schwartz. And that was relatively minuscule in the sense that we were talking about the paperwork, the process. It was not anything else but that. You know, we sit here and debate over $18,000, and you get angry over that. This is $1 million. What would it take for you to do this? 10 million? 20 million?
It's like monopoly money.
You know, I mean, if we had said we were going to save $100,000, and that was what the report said, I would say, well, maybe we should tinker with it and try and see if we could adjust something here. But as that number went up, 200,000, I said, you know, we answer to them. It's their money. You can save $1 million. That's, like I said, it's like hitting a grand slam. It's like, you know, as a ball player. You wait all your life to get to this position, and here we are. We can fix a lot of the administrative problems between two agencies, the Township and the MUA. We can have a chain of command that establishes responsibility. We can cut out some of the stuff that's going on down there, paying out lawsuits. You know, in our house, That won't happen. And then to top it off, $1 million. You have to be kidding. When we began this, and it was unanimous on February when we did this. Now, you knew there was a report being done, is that correct? Oh, did at any time you say to the manager, where are we at? I never sat in one meeting, but I constantly said to him, where are we at? I wanted to know was it moving down the line? Now, you got that stuff. This is an introduction. It's 2 months before the second vote, and a public comment in 2 months. No public comment tonight. This is an introduction. It's how an ordinance works. So you have until the end of July, maybe even into August. The point that I'm saying is, what is it that would take you to dissolve it? I don't know. $1 million. You have to be kidding. And it's every year. It's not one-shot deal. It's a savings of $1 million that keeps on repeating itself. Go ahead.
I just, with all due respect, Councilman Conroy, you state that it's just paper money.
No, I said it's on paper.
It's like a monopoly.
It's,
Okay, so let me address.
Clarify.
Monopoly money.
Yeah.
What happens when the $1 million of real money doesn't get spent? It stays in a place where the ratepayers do not get an increase. And when they don't get an increase, when they would have gotten an increase if we didn't have the $1 million, that is real money to real people. That makes a real difference.
When you brought it up that they said it's about $100 per person, Mr. Schwartz very clearly said, someone said, is this going to change your taxes? No. Is it going to change
They
your
very
taxes?
clearly
No.
said it's
No.
going to delay, it's going
It
to
could possibly
delay,
delay.
not possibly.
It will.
It will, and they said it will not delay.
It'll be $1 million worth of delay.
$1 million worth of delay.
Precisely what it does. What you do is you don't spend as much, so at the end of the year, when it comes time to look at your rate structure, since you haven't spent as much, you have enough in the bank to say next year we won't raise rates again. All right? If you had spent that $1 million, you'd have to find some way to get that $1 million back on the table.
Councilman, let me just say this, Todd, of all due respect, and I really like you, but I'm very passionate about my job. I'm the township manager. I was instructed by all 5 of you to investigate. You couldn't have had a better result. You thanked me for the questions that you had that I answered. You thanked Joey for the questions she had. What other questions do you have? It seems to me, and the Republican governor, and you're a Republican, endorses this. Get rid of the shadow government. Stop wasting money.
Oh, I agree. For how many months was I told, wait? And then something changed. I asked, what changed?
What else do you need to know?
What changed is we found out how much money we could save.
Save $1 million. That's what
It
changed.
just gets me upset. I can't understand. What else do you want to know, Councilman? I'll be glad to tell you now, tonight, tomorrow, or whatever else. You keep saying you have more questions. What are they?
What is the number you would run?
It's not about...
It's not about money. It's absolutely
No,
about
it's about money, but it's, here we are going through.
Could I say something?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Schwartz, we're throwing $1 million around, but it's not going to be $1 million, and he said that clearly in the meeting that we had. But regardless of that, Julie called me last week, and wasn't this supposed to be on the next agenda?
No, the reason for the phone call was to say it was going to be on this agenda.
Right, because it was supposed to be on the next agenda. Aren't we receiving information from the MUA? Aren't they doing some sort of study as well?
I have no
I
idea.
thought,
I don't know.
well, a phone call I thought was because their lawyer was putting together
They
numbers
put
as
in an
well.
Oprah request.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because, and the reason I'm asking that is because when Julie asked me that, I said, yeah, I want to hear both sides of the story. Up till now, we've heard Mr. Schwartz. And listen, I'm not saying, all I'm saying is we've gotten one quote, it's like a no bid contract. We're getting one side of the story. We should hear the other side and make a decision after that.
What would be the other side, Councilman?
I want to see what
The chairman just resigned because he knew that the MUA is going to be dissolved and the council supported that. What are they going to say? Okay, you don't have to hire an executive director now, and we won't need a car for him. You won't have to farm out a CFO because you have a CFO that's another $100,000 and some. The billing and collection we can do, so that'll be another savings there. You won't farm that out. You won't need need a solicitor, you won't need another engineer. It's all money, it's real money, that's what your governor endorses, not duplication.
Listen, yeah, I realize he's a Republican governor. Do you stereotype everybody with labels like that, or is it just us here?
No, it's not just you. I don't care if he's a Democrat, independent, what he is.
Well, then why say it every time you make a comment to me or Mr. Conrad?
Because it's a philosophy we hope that we would follow in the sense that it's saving money for our taxpayers.
Listen,
Then why do we have a meeting? I have to have a meeting 2 weeks after this was first introduced to give me the answers.
Well,
That's what I mean. Everything's being rushed through. We're having it.
you can always, and I appreciate the fact that you're diligent in what you're doing, and I don't have a problem with that. I just don't know what it would take to satisfy you. And the truth of the matter is, I was satisfied when I saw the number, and I don't remember him saying that we're not going to save $1 million.
Mr. Muller, are you going to get a raise out of this?
I think that,
No, sir. For the record, I do not want to raise, I am passionate about my job, I'm very pleased with the salary
You
I
had
have.
extra work for no additional money.
That's right.
Okay.
well, he gets
The actual
paid,
figure was $991,000.
he gets paid to do a
Yeah,
job.
but that wasn't including we would have people that need to get paid to do the jobs. They're not going to,
Well,
people don't do it for free.
this is like the way it works, if somebody's asked to sharpen 6 more pencils, we gotta give them a stipend. I mean, quite frankly, if we can eliminate jobs and do it without duplicating, duplication or eliminate duplication and save money, we're gonna do that. And if it means we have to ask people to work a little bit more harder or whatever, and they take on a little bit extra, that's fine. But I mean, nobody's going to die of overwork. And I mean, we certainly will have the requisite number of people inside the department. So that's not an issue. But, there's honestly, suppose it was only 750. Would you go, aha, we're only going to save 750, so let's not do it? I mean, come on. What is it that you put us up here for? I mean, I think when we're sitting here and we're looking at an authority where we can save that much money and run the whole system efficiently, economically, I think we're obligated to do this. All right. Anyway, back to where we're at. If everybody's done, do I have a motion to approve it?
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Councilmember Conrad?
No.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
No.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Ordinance 2014-07. An ordinance amending the code of the Township of Lower to create a water and sewer utility division within the Department of Public Works for the Township of Lower. This is also the first reading. The second reading of the public hearing will be scheduled after approval from
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad,
No.
Councilmember Neville,
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson,
No.
Deputy Mayor Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Beck.
Yes.
Regular agenda.
Go for it.
Resolution number 2014-168, authorizing payment for the 2014 regional school taxes. This is July through December 2014, totaling $6,013,966.50.
Okay.
This is...
Yeah, do I have any council comments on this? Open up the public comments on this. On the regional school taxes. Okay. Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
Councilmember Conrad,
Yes.
Councilmember Neville,
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson,
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Beck.
Yes.
Resolution number 2014-169, authorizing the payment to the Lower Township Board of Ed. This is for the 2014 school taxes, July through December 2014, totaling $7,903,298.
Okay. Council comments? Open up the public comment. concludes the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Move down to administrative reports. Is there any council comments? Councilman Conrad?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out to the community day. It was a beautiful event. I saw how crowded it was at the, for Councilman Neville's meeting concerning the beach, and I smartly stayed away, which with 3 members of council there, I think that was a good idea. But that was packed, and Shredding Day was again another successful event. Again, we got Skate to Cape next weekend. Be ready for some road closures next Sunday, and hopefully be totally over by lunchtime. Other than that,
Yeah, well, touch on just all the positives today. Escape to Cape, as Tom says, is going to be a great event. I hope the people come out and enjoy watching it. It's awesome. It's not much of an inconvenience, half a day. While we were over at the ferry, the mayor and I attended the birthday party of the MV Delaware, which is now 40 years old. And I think they said it had like 40,000 crossings, but she's still going strong, and they got 26 gallons of new paint on her. So she looks pretty good, and she's going to be the one used for the Escape to Cape. And we're going to have, as the mayor said, 8 different things happen over at the ferry this year, so it's going to be a good time with all the concerts. The coffee house, the Grand had a grand opening, and me and the manager attended that. They were really glad to see us there, cut the ribbon. Pretty good stuff over there, so if you like ice cream and fancy desserts and good coffee, that's a good place to visit. And lastly, this is the time of year that the Little League is having their playoffs, so if anybody's into a nice free game where there's a lot of passion, players, the moms, the dads, the grandmoms, Little League playoffs is a good thing to see.
can I interject real quick? Sorry. Escape the Cape, for those that are interested, 8 o'clock is the jump off from the ferry. They're going to start jumping off. That's what most people want to see. So if you get up near the beach, they're going to start, I think, at the half mile. I forget what street it is, and then they're going to go up to a mile. Lincoln, so if you want to see it, that's what, the rest of it's just a race, but jumping off the ferry.
I'm so happy. Yeah. All right. Actually, you know what? My wrong is Escape the Cape. An important announcement. Anyone interested in volunteering, I know Steve Belmonte needs all the volunteers that they can get. You can go on the website and register there for volunteers, all different, anything from taking registrations to course marshals and things like that. I know, and leading into, I want to thank the rec department. We started a teen boys program, transitioning teens to adulthood with job opportunities and all different types of things. We're asking businesses if they, not just for donations, but, for mentors and things like that. We had our first activity, and we had members of the Lower Township Police Department came in to support us, staff members from the school, as well as our recreation department. So it was great. It was good. Our girls program has been a huge hit all year. They're doing things in community, and our teen boys will be volunteering on Sunday. Also, Thursday was a great dedication. I know the mayor and deputy mayor got there. We had, as well as many of our local veterans, there was a plaque that's going to go on the wall in the Performing Arts Center at Lower Cape May Regional for Michael Scusa. Most of us, if not all of us, are aware of who he is. He was a graduate of Lower Cape May Regional who was killed in combat in Afghanistan. And it was nice. His classmates from 2005 are the ones that put it together. And they're going to put a really nice plaque up on the wall there and start a wall. Michael's family was there. And, several constituents. It was a nice little event. And I also want to mention, I don't have a date yet, but our rec center is going to provide our Faces for Autism program with meeting nights throughout the summer. Center. I suggested a drive-in movie, but the manager, come on, you smile, Mike, that was funny. But that will run soon, and or hopefully have a place for families with autistic children on the spectrum to go and meet and have activities for them as well. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
I feel privileged to be able to serve as deputy mayor, just going into my first year, beyond my first year in public service. And when we put our foot in the ring to do this, we said we wanted to do a few things. One was to help improve the economy so our kids could have jobs without having to move out of the neighborhood. We said we wanted to help education, especially find private support for public education. And we also said that we wanted to help, as much as possible, save the taxpayers' money whenever there was waste. And I feel like all these are coming together now. We're having an opportunity to save some really significant money as a result of our work in looking into the MUA. Secondly, we have a huge opportunity for economic development, and we're going to continue to identify opportunities to bring jobs. We just had a meeting at the airport, and one of the things that we heard there was the possibility of unmanned aviation being the future of the airport, along with the businesses that we have there. And so I'm going to ask Freeholder Maury to come before council in the next months ahead as a part of our economic development initiative and a part of the importance of communication to explain what are the opportunities to the people so that we can find the right kind of job opportunities for our area. We will also continue to work with the school, our programs, building a bridge between the community and the school and looking for ways to help in that respect. We'll continue with the foundation, the high school foundation, which is being formed, and the recruitment of business leaders to come into the schools in order to encourage and motivate the young people to become entrepreneurs and build the kind of jobs that we need, including one young student getting inspired to maybe start a linen cleaning service over at the airport out of the high school. And so it's, I feel as though we've been able to pull all these together in a really great way. I'm pleased to see it. I wanted to thank the manager for going through the effort to identify all the possible communications opportunities. We really wanted to focus on people. The requirement was to have someone that knew journalism, had been a journalist, and so that we could help have our own eye on the story for Lower Township. So Lauren, I want to welcome you to the team.
If I could add to that, Lower Township has so many great things to talk about. We're the largest community in Cape May County, and the people in this community have a lot of things they can be very proud of, but they haven't known of all the good things. Now tomorrow, Lauren's going to be working over at the rec department and doing some interviews about all the programs that we're doing for the children and the senior citizens. Over the last 3 years, I've tried to take it to the next level. Install pride, because you should have a lot of pride in this community. It's a great community. You got good fresh air, clean quality, good people. Over at the airport, the council's trying to create jobs. I know, you question about losing a little bit of taxes. But you know what? There's nothing more gives a person pride is when they get a job and they get a paycheck. And they're trying to do things at the airport. And I respect each one of these councilmen. I respect their opinion. I'm not going to always agree with them, but I'm just trying to do my very best to run an efficient government here and instill pride. And the public information officer, she'll do a great job like Jack Victor did. And I just can't express that enough. Thank you.
Great. You done? Yes. I want to thank you for what you do. I'm being honest about it. I think sometimes you fall on the sword for us in a lot of different ways, but I appreciate the things that you do for the township, and I know you're passionate about it. All right, so what do we have? We got the triathlon on Sunday, then we have at the Aviation Museum, a runway 5K and a 1 mile fun walk, which is Saturday, June 14th. Race starts 9 a.m. This is Joe Salvatore's over there at the Aviation Museum, and I'm doing this one. I'll do the 1 mile fun walk, thank you. The racing days are all getting past me. What else do we have? Well, we have all the events over at the ferry. There's about 8 events. So that's one of the things that we've got to get out to the news media is this whole thing. I think most of you already got a copy of this. If not, we'll make sure you do. With that,
Mayor, I just,
is that the
yeah,
police
I'll
stops?
stop, right?
Yeah, it's over in Diamond Beach.
I don't want to remind Norris and her today, but the clerk and I were advised to ask you guys, how's the fundraising coming for July 4th celebration? Fireworks.
We're broke.
Yeah, we have to raise from private citizens and businesses, I think 3 times what we're going to pay the communications person for this year. So that's part of our mission. And next meeting, Mr. Manager will have a report on that.
I didn't say
I
that.
was waiting.
Listen, you guys are doing a great job, and your heart's in the right place by trying to raise that money, but she was concerned because we have to make a payment, I guess, that
We
she...
can't even come with a
And I don't know if the letters went out yet. I really don't know. I was out last week.
Norris and I will be panhandling at the Wawa on Saturday.
Okay.
Squeegee.
At the cop stop.
We took wash of windshields over by the water.
But this is the 30+ thousand that we are going to raise to underwrite the recreation department's programs, including the fireworks and the concerts. And what we're doing is the same thing we did last year, is going to businesses and asking them to give us sponsors, as sponsors of Lower Township. We're calling them Friends of Lower Township. We raised over 30,000 last year. We're going to go back to the same folks, and I think that pretty much everybody's going to come back again. There's new businesses that have indicated that they're interested, so I feel confident we'll get it. I know it's time to bring it in the door. Thanks for the nudge.
Only one word.
Okay. We'll close the council comments, open up the public comment portion. If you have a comment, come forward. Yes. Young lady.
Oh, thanks for that. Janet Pittsville. First, I wanted to say thank you to Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Councilman Neville. I did attend the meeting on Saturday. It did get contentious, let's put it this way, and high anxiety, and you certainly were grace under fire, and I have seen, yes, I do think you need a round of applause for that. You listened to the people that were there, you didn't let it get out of control, and it was very nicely handled.
As in the words of one of the firemen that came down the street to help us with a fire, no need to thank us, ma'am, it's what we do.
Okay, very good. The second thing is, I know I'm not allowed to talk about these ordinances that we're not allowed to talk about concerning the MUA, so I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to say anything other than this has been several meetings where I've heard that there's questions, you have questions, we don't believe the figures, the money that the auditor came up with. I know we're not dealing with this until we get the local finance board approval. My concern is I'd like to get that all out, get it vetted, get it answered, so that when we do come to this vote, they're not still hanging out there. I don't know exactly what your questions are. I don't know if the people have those questions. Nonetheless, I really would appreciate if you would put them all down on a piece of paper and we'll take them off one at a time. And
You mean like I did for the police station and 2 years later I still don't have those answers, that type of thing?
Well, you know
Yes
what?
or no?
You put it down, you state it here, and I
No.
guarantee you'll get an answer, because nobody's in
I'm
this
not
room
going to
until
for
mine's
answers for
happy.
this. My big question is, well, how did Public Works get added into this? And that it's not going to be a
Well,
free cost.
it's one of those 3-year plans. Public
Yeah.
Works is not part of the MUA dissolution. Public Works comes about as we create a department inside the township, and this is Christmas future. It's not going to
I mean, Public Works has always been it. Before you basically, Public Works has been at Irma the entire time. Why?
We're not going to move trucks in on November 30th and start moving public works. And council may say they don't want to move public works, that's fine. They may dissolve the MUA and leave public works there, that's fine. That is just what you do when you plan for the future, and it's an option that's there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. In private industry, among many, many years, in hospital administration, I've had to integrate many departments. I had many employees that worked in multiple departments, whether it was in the ER, or it was in admissions, or it was in medical records. It can be done to integrate. It's cross-training and job codes, but it's very easy to do. My concern is that I want to get all those questions out and find the answers for them now. So really, when we come down to this local finance board where we have to take a vote, we're not held up by whether it's your questions or Mr. Simonson's money. We could do that too, the actual money thing. Let's vet it now and not wait until the 11th hour, and because it can be done. And I would be happy to work with any group if you want to start a group to look into these various issues. And like I said, I have a lot of experience with integration in multiple hospitals, at least within a healthcare system. So I'd appreciate if you could do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ian Ayers, Town Bank Road. I have two things. First, approximately when are we going to be able to speak on the MUA? The first meeting in July?
Oh, well, you can speak on it now. What I was saying is there's a difference between when you have what they call a public meeting or a public or an ordinance, and the first reading of the ordinance does not have public comment. The second reading does. But if you have something you want to say about the MUA, you can say it now. It's not that we're under restrictions. It's just that we didn't have the public forum.
So I can say what I want
You can say what you want to say, yes.
Okay, my biggest concern right now, what I've been thinking about, this is going to go into a department where they do X amount of work for X amount of money. Wait, let me get my thoughts straight. And these people are going to now do X amount of work and Y amount of work and still only get X amount of money?
Well, no. We're going to be hiring. We're going to be creating a whole department.
So we're not going to be saving.
Yeah, we
all that money
are.
that
We're going to save $1 million.
these people aren't going to get raises for doing more work.
Well, there's going to be, what is there, 20 employees, Mike?
I think it's down about 14.
14 is the
Some people retiring, some people.
Well, that's what we would have tentatively. We're going to be hiring a whole department to fill this thing.
So that would kind of some savings, no?
The savings is duplicating all the administration. We won't be the administrative shell. You won't have two administrative shells.
I understand.
Yes.
Okay.
And they'll be managed under the.
I'm just saying that we're not going to save $1 million. We're going to save a little less, possibly.
No,
I think it's going to be maybe more than $1 million at the end of the day.
Good chance it may be more.
Okay. Second thing, not everybody here knows Lauren Sue. Maybe we could introduce her.
Lauren.
Thanks for members of council and new residents. I'd be happy to talk with you. And I'm a Villas resident. I bought my first home here 5 years ago, and my husband owns a business in the county airport, and I look forward to working with all of you and getting out the good word of Lower Township. Thanks.
Thank you. The gentleman over here.
Hello, I'm Jay Young from Cape May Beach. I do have some questions about the MUA.
Okay.
Broadly, it sounds great that we're going to save $1 million plus dollars. But I'm concerned about money's fungible and it can be used for anything. I took a look at the budget, what I saw for the water and sewer, it looked like it was about a $10 million budget, 10.5 million or something. Is there going to be a line item?
Well, first of all, they're separate. They will not be mingled whatsoever. I think the solicitor.
Separate utility account.
But the word, it's all coming out of one and not the other?
No, all money raised from sewer revenue, water revenue, goes into a self-liquidating fund. What that means is it's a separate, dedicated fund, separate budget for water and sewer. There is also a provision in the ordinance, which is in the agenda package, in the ordinance that creates the division of water and sewer. It requires any money coming in to be expended solely in connection with water and sewer operations, whatever that may be, debt service, capital improvements, maintenance, everything. So if this council or any future council would want to spend sewer and water revenue on something other than sewer and water, they would have to pass an ordinance to do so.
Okay, so that money, whatever money is saved, is separate and transparent as it relates to the water and sewer. It can't go into general funds and used for other...
Not without an ordinance.
Not without an ordinance. And the ordinance requires, as you have an ordinance now,
you see the process.
Or is it a resolution that's just...
No, it's an ordinance, and you're seeing the ordinance process tonight, where it's introduced.
And then it would have
You'll learn about it.
Public reading.
It'll be published.
In a public hearing.
And then you'll have public
hearing.
hearing.
Okay.
And then that particular ordinance would be subject to appeal by referendum because it's not effective in 20 days until it's after it's published.
Okay, and the second part of this question is as it relates to the cost of operating and changing rates for water and sewer. Is that done by edict, or is that done, is there an authority that has to approve a rate increase for water and sewer?
It's good question. The current methodology to increase rates is by resolution by the MUA, which is a resolution. It simply goes up before the board, they vote on it, it passes. If this council passes this ordinance, rate increases are set forth in that ordinance. You can see that by looking through the agenda. Those rates are, they mirror what the MUA is currently charging, so there's no rate increase, and you can see that.
Right.
Any change of rate increase or decrease will have to be by amendment by ordinance. Again, you're seeing the ordinance process this evening. It's a twofold process that you go through.
Okay, so then a rate increase could not occur without a public hearing and an ordinance. That would be separate of what the council could do by resolution, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Here comes a gentleman from the back here, Bill.
Bill Greenfield, Villas. Saw something in the Herald about Dr. Farrell saying that independent of the improvement project that was done away with tonight, that the Army Corps of Engineers has a dune, some type of dune project plan. What's that?
I'll take that one. Back in the 90s, there was an Army Corps Engineer beach replenishment project that was proposed.
Right.
And it was for Middle and Lower Township. And Lower, needed to put in like $1 million, and they vehemently were against that.
So that's what he's talking about?
Yes, and what he's saying is since that, they have been dredging some of the shipping channel to a place called Buoy 10, and those dredge spools are like making a mound underwater, are becoming available.
Is that up north on the Jersey side, this Buoy 10?
I'm not exactly sure, but no, it sounded to me like it was on the Jersey side.
I thought they were...
I'm not positive where Buoy 10 is, but he's saying
Buoy 10 out
they
there.
created this Buoy 10 dredge spool site, and they've used that or are going to try and use that further up north for beach fill. Whether or not we would be involved in that would be if we, got with the Army Corps.
So that's what he was referring
Yes,
to?
and we may not even be eligible for that because we rejected it in the 90s. What he was saying was, had we taken it in the 90s, that was a self-generating reproduction of the beach. And that would have been on the grade.
Right. What I read in the
actually not dune, it's beach fill, so it's below the dune line.
Is that the berm thing they were talking about, making all the way up to Haven or whatever?
No, I believe it's beach fill, so it's not what he's trying to
Well,
get
at one time
at. It
they
was
were
not
talking
going to be.
That one back in the 90s, I thought
Yeah, that's a
they were
different-
talking
that's a
about
different story.
making an actual berm
Right.
along there, not beach fill, but a berm from North Cape
Right,
May
that's-
up to Haven.
That's right. They called it an ecosystem restoration.
My other question is, you said that the fishing pier project is in limbo. Is that the standalone fishing pier you were talking
The one
about?
at the
or
rock pile.
The concrete?
The one down at the jetty.
Oh, okay. That's
What
it.
happened was that the Army Corps, after dancing with them for a year, they said no jetty. So
Can't put the concrete.
they gave us an indication that perhaps a freestanding pier right next to the jetty may work. The problem is that you're looking at it's a couple $1 million. And even though we had some
Commitment for
an original commitment for perhaps up to $1 million, it just was, at this point in time, with all the, with the hurricane and the beaches and all that kind of stuff, it's tough to pursue that with what's trying to restore beaches at the same time. This thing got lost
Well,
in
that
the
was the
hurricane.
original plan, a couple blocks away.
Well, it was, but then we found out that there was an indication that we had in a meeting with one of the people from Army Corps, and this goes back to Christmas, right after Sandy, when they came down to look at the jetty. We had an indication that they may approve a concrete promenade on the rock pile. And after dancing the dance for the better part of a year, because that seemed to be a really good compromise.
What's their objections?
Their objections is that, and I get that at the end of it, when you sit back and you look at the energy and, the rock piles that exist, they're basically porous, and you put concrete on the top, it becomes a target. I get it, it would shift the entire dynamic of the.
And they had built one in Barnegat and it cracked. And that was,
Yeah, it's part of it, and I think that they did a 180, and where they went from like really approving these things to kind of like just saying, look, we don't want anybody touching these things, but if you want to come alongside, and then it was like, well, the money angle is just it's prohibitive. Once you go off the rock pile,
parallel.
Yeah.
Closer than the original one.
Well,
Yeah.
the original.
That doesn't make sense.
But when we were looking at the rock pile, and saying, well, okay, maybe we can put something, a promenade of concrete over there. You were looking at maybe the $1 million that we originally had ticketed might have been sufficient to do that. But when you went to a freestanding pier right next to 50 feet off of the rock pile, it became cost prohibitive. At this point, if somebody comes along, if they do all they have to do, at some point in time, they begin to fund these kinds of projects.
Well, I would think
again.
that would affect the jetty too, as far as.
Not as, no. As long as you're, and I mean, that was, they never commit. They give you an indication. And it's like, if they put the mouse on a string, and you run around the room chasing it for a year or two, then.
Okay, all right, thanks.
And they let you get up.
It's also very shallow for that. I swim there frequently, and you can walk out past the jetty and still stand
would have
up
to
to
go out.
waist.
Would have to go out.
Very, very far.
Yeah, that one makes sense. Okay, thanks.
All right.
Way to Delaware.
This gentleman here.
Hello, Council. My name is Joe Gansey. I live in North Cape May, and I did attend the meeting on the sidewalk on Saturday, and I wanted to thank you three guys in the middle there. Let's see, our councilman there, Neville, our mayor, and our deputy mayor. You guys did a great job. It was a little contentious, and I kind of agreed. It kind of could have gone different ways, but you did a great job, and I just wanted to thank you very much.
I'm in council. After that meeting, I'm seeing a therapist now.
I hope not. Oh, and I do agree with the public information officer. I think that's a great idea. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about is that it sounded like it was a competitive bid or a competitive selection. I mean, you actually asked people to respond back with resumes and prices.
Sure.
You actually interviewed their qualifications, and you actually picked the one that had the best cost and the best qualifications.
No, it wasn't, the cost was already set. The salary was in the budget.
Okay.
It was the best qualified person, and I would prefer a local resident, which she is.
Okay, and so it didn't sound like it was sole source. I mean, so I don't know why people are thinking it's, not competitive. I mean, you did do the interview, you did have a fixed rate, so I'm not sure how this all kind of fits together. It sounds like you're using the wrong term. You're sounding like you're saying, no, I selected this person as sole source, and it doesn't sound like you did that.
No, we did not.
Yeah, so...
No, I went through the complete interview process, the advertisement, and everything
Yeah, so
the right way.
I think you guys did it the right way.
Thank you.
The last question I had too is I went on the website and there's a little video on there that I saw. It looked like it was put together by high school kids, and it includes Councilman Neville, and it includes Councilman Simonson, and it includes the rec board member in the middle. And one of the things that the rec board member says is that don't worry. Our dunes held up. They survived the second largest storm, Hurricane Sandy. And, I know there's some fluff and there's some buff that's going on with the sidewalk just before the meeting. But one of the things that got me was there was an aha or uh-oh movement. And one of it was, are we telling our young people, don't worry about a hurricane like Sandy because our dunes can keep us safe? I mean, that's not a good thing to say. Congressman Neville says if we say to get out of Dodge, get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
So you want to take that off the internet, and you want to watch how you play that out. I know there's some wordplay going around with hurricanes and whether or not we survived it or not. So just be very careful with that. We don't want our young people to stay home when they should be evacuating.
Point well taken.
Thank you.
Gentleman in the back.
Good evening, Glenn Douglas, North Cape May. Just want to bring something up for council to reflect on with the MUA issue. We've been to a lot of, including myself, we've been to League of Municipalities meetings, we've been to League of Municipalities conventions. We've also heard it, and I'll attest to, I was a state employee. We were put under the gun by the governor to consolidate services throughout the state government. Each department was done that way. I think what you have to look at, consolidating services was a big push from the governor's office, right on down to the League of Municipalities was involved. Each of the communities are doing it. If you look at the MUA issue as a consolidating services, you're going to find that not only is it cost effective or you save money, but you also consolidate services, which was a big issue with the governor. I personally did a project at the state with consolidating our services under the Department of Corrections, under DEPCOR. I did it under a Certified Public Manager course, and it was implemented. And it did save money. It also consolidated all our services, so we're efficiently and cost-effectively using all our different programs. And just an idea with the MUA and the Township Public Works, utilizing all the employees to do the different things, I think is very important. You have to look at it in a different idea, maybe just not all the money issues, but also the consolidated services. But I believe it's a positive move, and you really should consider all, and surely, Tom, you need to get your questions answered. I understand that. Same thing, everybody. You may all still have another question or two that you need answered. But you have to follow through and look for that question and go find out where the information is. On a second note, this is something off the picture here, but recently, I don't know if anybody has seen along the bayfront, but all the boating and fishing is going on right outside here. Something to boast about in our township. The fishing has come back over to our side of the bay. To be almost
Drumfish.
Drumfish.
I caught one last Tuesday.
I watched the
tower.
I watched the guy struggle with a striper coming off the Ferry Road the other day. I was taking the dogs for a walk. It's really nice to see that, because when you look out here at all along the waterway, we got a lot of boats out here now, which used to go across the... So I think, and I don't know know if that's possibly from something that was done at Coxhall Creek, because I know that was an issue. The old fishermen will tell you,
Right.
the old green shanty, that's the place everybody used to fish. Well, that's where they're fishing right now, so. It's a
Maybe
good
by
thing to
opening
see.
that up, it'll got a better flow in and out there,
I think
bringing
it
some of
helped
the
it.
stuff out from the inside.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Jim Quinn, Town Bank.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's saying how good our dunes held up with the storm. It
Right.
really didn't hit here. But somebody ought to tell that to the insurance companies, because recently I tried to get some bids on some homeowners insurance, and a lot of companies don't want to insure us down here. I mean, if it's so safe down here, I don't know why, you know. And another question, I see a lot of vacant properties anymore around shame foreclosures. The grass is like this high. Can't we use like school students or something, or public works to cut the lawns and all these people now?
No, you got that.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but we couldn't because of the liability to use school children. However, we do have a program that our code enforcement officer implemented, that if they do not clean it up, then we send out people and then we put the bill and a lien against the tax holder. So if you have a particular property, if you want to give my office a call tomorrow or give me a note tonight, I'll make sure we go out and take a look at it. It's our intent to make this town as clean as possible and to make it look as best as it can.
I mean, you see a lot of houses with sale signs on, like they're in foreclosures, but if the banks are holding these properties, we can easily build them.
We bill them.
Yeah, we streamlined that process. Used to be a long wait. Now we can write a ticket on the spot.
Yep, and they're issued summons and have to go to court.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address council? Yes, sir.
My name is Joe Brunt, North Cape, Maine. Want to thank the council for saving our dunes. Their natural state is, I think, much more attractive than the sidewalk could possibly be. But I did want to mention on Sunday. I happened to see Steve Del Monte, is it? Out on the dune, and in certain areas on the dune where you've had these snow fences, you have big stakes that are holding the fence. Well, the sand has come up so high that now you only have 6 or 8 inches of stake. You know, it's a hazardous thing. We have a lot of people on these dunes, and I see they have a number of people out here laying out the mats and whatnot for the access, but these stakes really ought to be removed.
We'll bring that to the attention of the Recreation
What
Department.
location would that be?
I'm at 707, so right in front of my place has a path that has
We'll get somebody to look at it.
stakes sticking up. They're really rusty, sharp things that, you know,
If there's
a little kid fell on it,
carries-
you know, it'd be really sad.
What was the intersection again, sir?
It's in between Sandman or Lincoln and Rose Hill on Beach Drive, the paths along there. But there's a number of locations. And now you just have the stakes sticking up in a number of locations on the beach.
If it's dangerous, we'll look at it.
We'll take a look at it.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address council?
Good evening, council, ladies. My name is Lewis from the Villas. I attended that meeting on Saturday, which was, to me, I was sorry to see just like that, because a lot was lost from this township as far as improvements. It seems like every time there wants to be an improvement, it's in the people's favor, it seems to be knocked down. That's the second time. It happened with Ponder Lodge. Now we have a big doggy lot over there. And that's it. And with this same thing here with Cape May, a lot of time and effort was put into it. A lot of money was spent with the taxpayers. To me, it was a good project. It would improve things. I understand that people's adamant about it. But the way things went on Saturday, if you were in favor, you couldn't even get up there because it was strictly, and I hate to use the word, but a lynch mob situation to make sure it didn't happen. And there was no other way it was going to be changed. I thank the deputy mayor for getting up and making the comments and getting the views of the people, because you could have gave them BMWs for the Ford and it wouldn't have happened. That's how bad it was. But you know, those things pass over, but what should take place. It's not North Cape May, the villas, Cape May Beach, Ironman, it's Lower Township. Everybody's got a right to these things. The same thing on the beach down there. If you could use that money for anything, I'd love to have sidewalks in the villas here for the people so I don't have to drive around them and they don't get out of the way when you're coming down the road. They got 3, 4 abreast. That's what was transpiring down there and could have been stopped. So maybe you had, and I know you had at previous meetings, suggestions to make that one way. Maybe take one side of it, make it a bike path, make it a thing. You can't fool out the dunes now, that's done. But there's other ways that maybe it could be done to get the people access to it without any safety factors. So consider that, and that's what I got to say about that. But I want to get to one other issue, and the township managers have been talking to them for a good while, months. I want it on as far as the township meetings being on TV. And we both looked at it one day in his office, and whatever format changed with the school, it's not nothing on there now. Before, it might have been a little hazy, foggy, you couldn't understand it as far as you talk. But Mike, what happened with that? Where's it at?
Yeah. As you know, Eileen's not here tonight, otherwise she'd be working the camera.
Yes.
And we have a new camera that now should provide a clear picture and good audio. Apparently the camera has a chip, some kind of computer chip, and they send that chip over to the school to put into their system there to put it back up on the broadcast. I have not, because I was away last week on vacation, looked at Channel 9. I know there was another problem also, that they were saying on certain days it was going to be on at 8 o'clock at night, and then another time on the same Channel 9 it says it's going to be on 9 o'clock. So that was supposed to have been all straightened out, but Eileen will be back in tomorrow.
No, there's nothing straightened out, not to interrupt you, but that's totally blank. The format changed. There's nothing on there with revolving issues of what's happening in the township. It's totally different.
Yeah.
And it's actually Tuesdays and Thursdays where they advertise it. It's blank.
Well, it'll be dealt with, and it's not on this end, and I'm not blaming the school for anything, but it's on the school.
No, I blame the school because they should be able to do this.
Well, I agree 100%.
You know, so I appreciate if you get on it. I don't sit and watch it.
I know. It's on the internet, and I know you don't have a computer.
Yeah, I hear it.
Right. But I'm saying it's on the internet, and it's nice and crystal clear on the internet, on the YouTube. But the school has to get up to speed to make it work properly for the
I appreciate
TV.
it if you get on that because that's
We're on
it again. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. I was going to keep quiet tonight. I'm sitting here biting my tongue, and I'm going to be perfectly honest. And I think everybody in this room is perfectly honest. I've been coming to a lot of meetings, and I don't care what the resolution is, what the motion is, what the opinion is, but the vote's 3-2. 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. I sit on the planning board for the last 6 years. We have Republicans, we have Democrats, we have independents. And we take our position very seriously. And when we make our decisions and we vote for the people of Lower Township. We don't vote for our parties. I wish to God that the 5 of you go home tonight, look in the mirror, come back to the next meeting, and please say, I'm going to start voting for the people instead of voting for the party. Thank you.
Well, I can honestly say I vote for the people. That may not be your opinion, but I know it's mine.
Does anybody else wish to address council? Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.